monster. You get in my way, I'ma feed you to the monster. I'm normal during the day, but at night turn to a monster. When the moon shines like ice road truckers, I look like a villain out of those blockbusters.
This is the story about a wrestler named Andrew Sparks. Andrew started wrestling his freshman year in high school and got pinned constantly. Now he's a California state champion at 160 pounds. Through this incredible accomplishment, Andrew has now committed to wrestle Division I at Minnesota for the Gophers. This video was brought to you by Chris Kelly Vlogs and the Wrestling Hype House on TikTok.
When he first started going to practice, he literally came home and he's like, "Mom, everyone beats me. I get pinned constantly." And he was working his butt off and he would just get pinned. And it was hard because they'd all been wrestling, you know, since they were little, most of them. And he was determined, like, to just keep putting in all the effort he had and every day work. And so, yeah, then he ended up being state champion his senior year, so it paid off.
All right, guys, so we have Andrew Sparks. Now, Andrew, if you could give us a little introduction about yourself, that'd be great.
Yep. So, I live in California. I'm a 2020 state champ, 160 pounds. Started wrestling, I was introduced to it 8th grade year. So yeah, I'm a state champ now, so it's cool.
For sure. So, like, the big question is, why did you start getting into wrestling? Now, you got recognized in 8th grade, so what was kind of the inspiration behind it?
I mean, I was always kind of an aggressive person. Soccer was my sport, actually, before wrestling. But I have 3 brothers, and, you know, I was always horse around with them, and I always loved wrestling with them. And I always thought it was a cool sport.
Sure.
And I lived in New Hampshire. I had some wrestling buddies. And when I came back to California, I decided I wanted to do wrestling. I heard it was really tough.
He was always a handful, and he was like, "Mom, I need a sport that is the hardest sport out there. I want something that, like, is the hardest thing." I went online and I Googled, what's the hardest sport? And this is when he was going into 9th grade. And wrestling came up. So I'm like, well, let's look for a local wrestling place and see how you do.
I went into the room, actually. It was like this little club room. And first 20 minutes of wrestling, I broke my toe. Yeah, so I was out for like 3 months. And then I came back and I decided I wanted to do it. And then, yeah, ever since then, I knew it was for me, so.
Your freshman year, you know, was pretty hard. You kept getting, you know, pinned and beat every match and everything like that. How did you really stay in the sport and stay motivated to do well?
I mean, I just loved competing, and I'm a super competitive person, so, you know, I hated losing, and I mean, like, every time I got beat up, you know, and I lost, that just motivated me to get better and keep going. So a lot of people get really discouraged, and it was kind of the opposite for me. It just motivated me, got me fired up.
So another big question is, how does a guy like that, you know, a 106 freshman who's getting beat all the time, you know, goes up to 160, gets super jacked, ends up winning a California state championship? Like, California, that could be arguably the toughest state to win a, you know, wrestling state championship. How are you able to do that in 4 years?
Honestly, it's all about hard work and just like dedicating yourself. You know, when you want to win, like, almost as bad as you want to breathe, you're gonna find ways to get better. And, you know, whether it's staying after practice, you know, making those sacrifices, put in extra time, it's just all that. And then another big part of it is belief. You just gotta believe in yourself. Making those jumps, you know, from freshman year, sophomore, junior, and senior. The finals with Valencia, yeah, 7-1.
7-1. So after that match, you know, like, how was it? What was going through your mind?
Dude, it was crazy. I mean, it's just something that I dreamed about, and once it finally happened, it's like, man, this is insane, you know?
You're just undescribable?
You know, it was just surreal.
Yeah, so how was your family, you know, played a role in your life, you know, up until your whole life?
Yeah, I've always got a bunch of support, you know, from my mom, you know, family members. We moved around a lot, so we've been, you know, to a bunch of different states. We moved East Coast, you know, we lived in Washington. You know, there was a lot of changes in my life, and then moving back here, and even my senior year, you know, it was rough, you know, going into season. So I think it was good for me, definitely.
For sure. So you know, you win state and everything in California. Now, how was it with, you know, the college scouts looking for you? And I know you recently committed to Minnesota, you know, Division I. That's, you know, that's awesome. Like, what has that, you know, this journey up until, you know, college and everything, that whole scouting everything been like for you?
Yeah. I mean, it was crazy because I wasn't noticed at all, you know. Not even, I mean, junior year, no one knew who I was. You know, I didn't place in state, so I mean, there's no reason for, you know, top D1 colleges to really be looking at me. I didn't do much over the summer besides train a lot and just, you know, improve myself. And going into senior year, you know, I knocked off some top-ranked wrestlers in the beginning of the year, and then I really wasn't noticed. I was only noticed by a couple like local schools. I know Cal State Bakersfield, they were the first D1 school to reach out to me. But it wasn't really until Doc B when I placed third. I lost to Valencia there 5-6 in the semis. But after that, I was on the board and I was being noticed by a lot of top colleges. So
that's awesome. So you know, where do you see yourself in, you know, 4 years? You know, what's the big goal for you in wrestling?
Big goal, man. I want to be an NCAA champ, multiple-time NCAA champ. I want to be on the world team. You know, I just want to be the best at every level. So, you know, I don't see why I can't, you know, looking back and seeing how far I came and you know, how much I can improve. Earlier in the video when you mentioned my success and what got me to this point, a lot of it was, you know, belief in hard work, but I couldn't have done it without my coaches, you know, and my family, you know, helping me along the way, and also God, you know, putting the right people in my life and, you know, directing my steps. So I got to give a lot of credit to them, and part of me believing in myself, a lot of it came from my coach. You know, every day he'd tell me, man, you're the best in the state, you're the best in the country, you know. Even at times in the beginning when I didn't even believe it, I was like, man, I just started wrestling, like, what do you mean I'm gonna be state champ? You know, and even, you know, this year he's like, yeah, you're gonna win state, you're gonna be the best in the country, you're gonna knock off Valencia. A big part of it is because of my coach Dane. So